was availability of funds and resources like infrastructure, and there were non-profits and various other organizations who were interested in tying up with government, but they didn't have an idea which is the link and what could be the possible avenues of partnerships. So now what we are planning to do is to start a project in which we can identify some of the partners with whom we can tie up, and we can do a collaborative project regarding this issue of malnutrition in urban slums. So I'll just brief you about this format of roundtable. We have three. Yes. Yeah. Just check for results.
And I also do a lot of research in the urban slums, basically their everyday life and lots of social, economic and political problems. And so I'm here because I might share some of my ideas as well as what I'm getting out of the research, about the malnutrition and the especially the nutrition level of the children in the very back slums like in Emmy's ward, which is according to any of the indicator, it's very bad. Even sometimes it's worse than the couple of African nations also. So I'm here to see that how you as a group come up with the idea, and I'm also teaching the social entrepreneurship. So some of the looking at my students' projects also, I can share some of the points which might help you to form a group or pick up a certain issue and how you go about it.
I'm here to look after what are the discussion will be going on malnutrition.
Good afternoon, I'm Sonia from Ambuja Cement Foundation. Ambuja has a number of projects, and one of those being health. One of the special programs that we have in health is wherein we developed a cadre of women from the villages who are not sati, and they are into promotive and preventive healthcare. So I would like to understand more about the work which is being done in health in that respect.
Good afternoon, my name is Asma. I work for the Thomson Reuters Foundation for its program on trust law, where we connect non-profit organizations and social enterprises to lawyers who are willing to help on a pro bono basis. And I'd like to learn as much about malnutrition and the causes as much as possible.
Hi, my name is Urvashi. I work along with Asma on trust law. I'm actually personally very interested in the issue of malnutrition and health. I think it's a more ignored issue, and it's great to see that interest.
गुड आफ्टरनून, मेरा नाम है स्मिता डेविडो। मैं होली फैमिली हॉस्पिटल नवजीत कम्युनिटी हेल्थ सेंटर से आई हूँ। मैं सोशल वर्कर करके वहाँ पे काम करती हूँ, और हमारा हेल्थ एजुकेशन और कम्युनिटी डेवलपमेंट के ऊपर काम चलता है। तो आज का जो ये सेशन है तो हमारे काम के लिए बहुत ही यूजफुल है, इसलिए सेशन है।
Good afternoon everyone, myself Dr. Nirmal Ahuja. I am Unit Head for Health and Nutrition at an international organization called as Mumbai Smiles. We are working in the areas of malnutrition since 7 years, and we run 25 preschool centers which look for the malnutrition aspects of around 800 children in the slums of Andheri East, Vikhroli, Kanjurmarg and other areas. And malnutrition is something areas which we cover in terms of enrolling with SHPs and providing them necessary food. So definitely I am looking forward to the expansion of project, and definitely I am here to get some good collaboration so that we can take this project ahead and cover more and more children.
Good afternoon, my name is Sanjeev Das, and I work for a USAID project called Improving Healthy Behaviors Program, which is managed by FHI 360. And this project has been set up to help the Government of India in the area of behavior change communication. The government has identified BCC as a weak link in their programming, and we've been working with the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and the WCD for the last 4 years. The project has started with National Nutrition Resource Platform for the Ministry of Women and Child Development. You can access that at poshan.nic.in. So it's a repository of all material related to nutrition, and if you've not accessed it, probably it will be very insightful for you. You can download as well as upload stuff. It's one online repository where everything can be found related to nutrition. So if you are a professor or if you are a researcher or if you are a CSR implementation organization, I think all of us can benefit from that. I have also interest in this area because previously in another project funded by USAID, managed by market-based partnerships for health and private sector partnerships, I managed or led the WHO ORS program, which was implemented in eight non-Indian Hindi-speaking states, which we know are poor in terms of maternal and child mortality. And in that program, as part of the communication, we tied up malnutrition with growth monitoring, and we said that repeated episodes of diarrhea resulted to malnutrition. Because all the nutrients in a child's body get washed away when he has repeated bouts of diarrhea, and there is documentary evidence that says that frequent bouts of diarrhea lead to stunted growth. Yeah? So there is information available through research globally through WHO, and it was a very interesting campaign where we showed two kids, Raju and Hindu. One is both are 4 years old and one is small and the other is big. So just to make an impact on caregivers and on doctors. So we were training doctors and caregivers on nutrition as part of the diarrhea management program. So it's a very interesting area, and we hope to find out more about the discussion. On the other side, we are building partnerships with the private sector, and in the PPP mode, government wants to share all the communication materials that come from the government with the private sector free of cost. And we are already collaborating with about more than a dozen private sector foundations, NGOs, etc., who are using these communication materials to do outreach in their community programs. Tomorrow, we are launching a new online and offline campaign called the Dharma Smile. We have a session at 2 o'clock. Those of you who are interested to join. And the whole idea is that we are trying to bring focus on maternal and child mortality. Right? And analogies from Mumtaz Mahal, who died in 1631 due to lack of information and technology for healthcare, and today also a lot of women are dying because of childbirth, and maternal mortality is very high. And how can all of us as stakeholders work together to bring in more impact in this important area? So that's what roughly the campaign is about. It's going to be online as well as offline. If you're representing academic institutions, CSR foundations or NGOs, you can go to our website, pledge your support and put your logo there. So it will be active in a couple of days, and then we'll see what more we can do to collaborate together. Thank you.
Good afternoon, this is Sushmita. I'm a communication specialist.
Hello, my name is Devashish and I am from Microsoft.
हेलो नमस्कार, मेरा नाम विकास है, मैं स्नेहा मुंबई से हूँ। और स्नेहा है जो वुमेन एंड चाइल्ड हेल्थ पे काम करता है, और जबकि हेल्थ के बारे में बात करते रहे, मैटरनल न्यूबॉर्न हेल्थ है, चाइल्ड हेल्थ न्यूट्रिशन है, तो ये और पीरियड लाइक वायलेंस अगेंस्ट वुमेन जो है उसके ऊपर है, और सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्टिव हेल्थ है, ये सभी चीज़ों के ऊपर काम करते हैं, अलग अलग प्रोजेक्ट यहाँ के करते हैं। और जिस प्रोजेक्ट पे मैं काम करता हूँ उसको स्नेहा सेंटर करके कहते हैं। स्नेहा सेंटर एक कम्युनिटी सेंटर है, जहाँ कम्युनिटी सेंटर थ्रू हम ये कम्युनिटी सेंटर है जहाँ पे ये इंग्लिश वार्ड जो है यानी गोवाटी मानपुर एरिया में जो स्लम्स एरिया है वहाँ पे कम्युनिटी सेंटर है, वहाँ पे उसके थ्रू हम लोगों को सर्विस, चारों सर्विसेज एक साथ देने की कोशिश करें। एक रैंडमाइज कंट्रोल ट्रायल चल रहा है, उसके थ्रू हम ये माल नरिशमेंट के ऊपर हमारा ज़्यादा काम हो रहा है, और 0 to 6 years बच्चों के लिए ये प्रोग्राम चल रहा है। उसी के साथ साथ इसी हिसाब से हमें सी मैम जैसे कम्युनिटी बेस्ड मैनेजमेंट ऑफ एक्यूट मालनरिश, इसके ऊपर हमने काम चालू किया है। तो और यहाँ पे आया हूँ तो बहुत से लोग, यानी अच्छा लगा कि बहुत से लोग यहाँ पे मालनरिशमेंट पे काम कर रहे हैं, और भी बहुत सी कुछ प्रैक्टिसेस मुंबई अफसनाउस में हो रही है, तो वो सुनने के लिए अच्छा लगेगा, और जो शायद कोलाब्रेशन और भी कुछ कर सके तो उसके लिए मैं देखना चाहता हूँ। थैंक यू।
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Laksha Shah. I'm representing NCDA, Principal Coordination Mumbai. I'm Dr. Laksha Shah. I'm presenting Principal Coordination of Greater Mumbai. So I'm working as a deputy executive health officer. And I'm here to visit all the stakeholders, and if any of the stakeholders are interested and would you must be knowing that municipal corporation is implementing most of the programs related to animal child health. Sneha is already a partner with us. And we also have TB, malaria, and non-communicable disease on our chart. So we are implementing most of these programs. We also have local academic institutions for our partners. So definitely malnutrition is the next focus, and I'm not sure about at least the malnutrition project which you have. You are doing it with MCGM or different.
No, we are doing with MCGM and ICDS.
ICDS. So ICDS is another entity which is from the state. So we do take some surveys in the area. We have a huge workforce of primary health centers in the slums, and we have community health volunteers under us. So last year we had taken some malnutrition screening camps, and we have found the prevalence being very high. And I'm particularly in charge of the entire eastern part, like East and West and Edwards. So if you would like to go ahead in those areas, then definitely you can write to me. And of course our executive officer, and with a proper objective and agenda, how we look or how we see taking forward. So I really welcome all of you. And under CSR, if you want to find out what MCGM is doing, like we have a CSR cell, and under CSR many other partnerships are also being invited. So on MCGM website, mcgm.gov.in, we have a link where we can go and can find out about the CSR. So we have a specially CSR office also. So most of the proposals we do through them, but particularly if you are interested in health, then you can write to executive office. And our office is at Parade and South.
So we have an idea now, like while this discussion was going on, and based on our last year's assessment and understanding through this roundtable, also we realized that there are a lot of organizations that are working in pockets in urban parts, in Mumbai, in Delhi, in Chennai, and various other places. But there is no centralized effort, and the scale of operations is always limited to a specific area. So, what is the hurdle that is stopping us from scaling the whole model, and what could be, can we take in a behavioral change campaign like the Tajma Smile, something specifically for malnutrition? Because this malnutrition, when we were talking, and we wrote a white paper last year, which was commissioned by Glenmark, and we tried to find out what is the hurdle. The first thing which came in and which exhausts the most of resources of any implementation organization was the community mobilization part of it. It took the maximum of the time, energy, and resources. So can we do something at a large scale which will help us reduce this cost for so many different organizations? Any comment? So you are a behavioral change expert, so maybe we can hear something from you.
When it comes to outreach, you're right in saying that people are doing things in silos. So if there's a way to synergize our efforts, if we can all collaborate, because there are different people who bring in different expertise, and today even the government realizes that it cannot do all these things alone. So it is reaching out to the private sector. Now, if we can all reach out to each other and do something together, that will make a lot of impact. For example, my project can bring in all the communication tools, and we can also bring in some bit of training. So if there are people like NGOs who actually know how to do outreach on the ground level, they can bring in the workforce or the healthcare workers. Similarly, there could be other people like IDOGRO and some other organizations like IDO who can measure the impact of those exercises or efforts. In the past, we have seen that people are also doing things without understanding that what is the strategic need of that thing. Whereas like you just have some funds and you go on the ground and you say, okay, we have to use these funds. So many times you have seen that some of the things are not being done in a very strategic way. I'll give you a brief example. In 2005, I joined APT Associates and I was leading the ORS program that I mentioned to you. And on 29 July every year, we have the World ORS Day. So we had field teams stationed in 34 cities across the North India. And they invited me, and that time I was very new to the program, and it was invited me, and this said, so I could come and see what we're doing. And one example was in Varanasi. They had actually done a cricket match on the World ORS Day. And the commentator was saying, "Oh, ye laga ORS chokka, oh, ye laga ORS chakka." So all the ORS was mentioned, The team was very enthusiastic that they have done a great job. So when we met in the evening, I said, "Listen, thanks for your efforts, but I didn't see any young mothers or young caregivers. They were all school children and there were youth there. So are we reaching that message to the right audience? You have spent the money, ORS chakka bhi laga, chokka bhi laga, aapne sample bhi karaya, but where is the impact going to come? Having a strategic approach is very important. Collaboration is very important, and measuring the results of our efforts are very important.
Anyone else would like to comment on that?
As the writer said, there is a segregation of things, and there is bits and pieces that is going on. So for going on a large scale, it has to be a complete proposal. It has to, if you really want to reach, we need to have a lot of infrastructure. We are reaching almost all the slums, and but we would definitely need not a small pilot project or something like that. And of course, the research institutes and the colleges are there to be the inputs, do some data analysis, and have a strategy based on the data assessment. What we have seen is under our functions, we cannot provide the actual nutrition, and that's the real need there. And a lot of mothers and a lot of community, when we interact, they say that there is actually, even our doctors and most of the major hospitals, and these patients get admitted at the PM1, 2 or grade 3. When these things are required, so under CSR we can pull in some of the support for that. And also we have to see the sustainability of those things when we start. So it's very important that a solid project proposal is written, and we need to have some kind of international support also, or a national level support. Because I think malnutrition right now, if it has to be addressed, it has to be, even under ICDS, there are some schemes which is available. So we need to study all these details and then chart out kind of a way ahead. So it's just not going in during the nutrition. So education is important, the mothers' education, the communication tools, the teaching institute has to chip in. So all these things, and of course people like, I don't know, you can coordinate with all that. So
I think I can give a very good example, which is one of my favorite examples on CSR doing work in nutrition area. In India, the way the company charters come, and now they said that CSR cannot be related to your business, right? It has to be different from what you're doing. Whereas if you see the West, CSR is a business strategy. It's not a charity or philanthropy. So, for example, Britannia Foods is selling biscuits, and they are fortified those biscuits with iron. So they have created a USP, what you call it, as a unique selling proposition to the biscuits, which is makes the biscuit a differentiated product from a biscuit of a rival company. And that's a reason why consumers will prefer Britannia's product over some other product. So at the same time, while you are able to market your product better, there is some kind of a social impact through improving the nutritional status of those children who are eating those biscuits. So how can you marry business with social good is something that CSR should try and do. And if it creates more business for you, all the more better, because when you create more business, there will be more money which will go into the 2%. Right? So every year you sell more, there will be more funds available for CSR. And, much more funds will flow in, and more work can be done in this area. So how can you marry the two objectives? There's a challenge as CSR managers, if you can think of those objectives. Wants to add to that? After that.
Yes, I completely agree with you in terms of adding more value. But along with this, what I would like to give example what exactly we do. We cover this area of malnutrition through our project where we are running balwadis. Like these balwadis, we have developed, and there are around 800 children in it. And the teachers, the parents, the community is involved, and they are made aware about each and every aspect of malnutrition through we have a concept of having a beneficiary committee where people from the community, the teachers, the assistants, and people from the organization, they are part of the committee, and we discuss these issues, how we have to cover the aspects of malnutrition, what are the growth and monitoring pattern. It's not only someone coming and monitoring the children. It's like we have empowered the teachers who are from the slum itself. We don't recruit anyone from outside that area to become a teacher for Balwadi or Anganwadi. It's from the community itself, and so they take the onus and they are empowered, and in turn they are sent in the community to spread the awareness, to call the children. If the children is sick, to take a follow-up, why it's happening, what is the weight status, how we can improve. Then simultaneously, because malnutrition is not only about nutrition, it's also about overall holistic development of the child, how it is going in terms of health. Second important thing is nutrition. When we provide to the children, the most what we generally do is we give them nutrition, they will eat it at home. But here we have made sure that the children are in front of us, the teacher and assistant is there, and they complete their nutrition which is given to them. And also during the PTA meetings, now every month we conduct a parent-teacher meeting where there is a topic on malnutrition which is discussed with the parents, and accordingly we conduct various campaigns or various events in the community, like for a sports day or some cultural program or some fancy dress. So through that, through the parents itself, we pass the message to the community, and that's where it keeps on building. So such kind of program where we can develop, where the onus is on the community rather than on the organization, on the intervention specialist, I think that would definitely make much difference.
I think loud have a loud mouth. So, DISS as a social science institute, we do a lot of research with the CSR front as well as with the government, because we are also knowledge partner of Maharashtra State Government for the MSR11, Rural Livelihood Mission, and a lot of other projects also. Other hand, we also do a lot of ground level research with the urban slums. So what are coming out of this 3 quarters about malnutrition? First thing is that if we talk about ICDS scheme or any other nutritional scheme which is implemented, especially in the declared slums, because we have I think 1900 plus slums, and almost 50 or so percentage of slums are undeclared, or they are called illegal slums according to the state. Okay? So now, if you go to the illegal slums, let's say like Sakhinagar, Maharashtra, these are all under the demolition threat. Okay? So if we go inside that undeclared slum, it's almost like an orphan of the state, means nobody is there. Okay? Little bit pieces, written pieces, some of the social organizations they are implementing, but most of the time they are outside the purview of the state facilities. So all those slums, even some portion of the Baiganwadi, if you go, you can see that malnutrition is such a level that it's also producing a lot of disabilities among the children. Okay, and these are the disabilities. They were not born with all those disabilities, but because of this. Now here, if you talk to we have a lot of discussion with even a lot of IAS officers who are into this, and even ministers also. So the first response we get that this is undeclared and this is illegal, so it's not our responsibility. So this is the one answer we always get from whatever the institute level research. If we talk about the CSR, the problem is that I think we all live by certain assumptions. we need to change all those assumptions, otherwise problems remain the same and solution is really problematic. Because if you, most of the time we go by assumption that this is undeclared slum, so these children are not entitled to any other facilities. If we can change our assumption that it is undeclared, but children are children, so they have that, they should get that facility. So that is all the things are, let's keep aside, because a lot of time we are forcing, talking, having dialogues, but something concrete is not coming out of that. If you go to the companies, they also think about the CSR, not only their business being correlated or not only about their all the goodwill, not that the cost. They also want to work in such a space. Space matters a lot, which are politically stable. If the spaces are politically unstable, even if there is malnutrition is very huge, they don't want to enter into any sort of so there are a couple of ground level organizations who want to do, but all the resources they are not able to access. Okay, so this is the quarter which we got from the company's whole mindset, because a single, I don't believe that a single law can change the mindset within a few seconds or few minutes, right? Though it is written also that it should be the, not charitable or the philanthropic, they should engage. But there is also clause in the Ministry of Corporate Affairs that it can be indirect in that sense, it could be business related. So that clause also sometimes creates a kind of confusion among the all corporations that whether we should go which is not related to our business, or we should go where give us some kind of goodwill, the way you articulated about the biscuits. So this is the situation because there are a lot of organizations are working. Not only Sneha, there are a couple of organizations like Ahnalaya, all sorts of organizations for a long time they are there. But sometimes law also major obstacle. Sometimes corporations also major obstacle because money is always with these two quarters. The third quarter they don't have all that money. I am not saying that all the NGO or all the social organization, couple of our organization managed from the bilateral and multilateral agencies, but maximum who are into that space, the resource, access to resource is really problematic. And I think if you ask me the broader context and our macro, what do we need to do, that is we think lot many work we need to do in the legal framework of the companies. It's almost like a shopping list. They give to the corporations and we do CSR. Other hand, I think many times we talk about the training and about the ground level stuff, training about the beneficiaries, but we never talk about the training about how it should be, or training about the institutions like state or the corporations, because whenever we talk about the CSR, all the CSR head, it seems that they know everything, but when we ask us very basic questions, they don't have any clue. So how much we are open about the training of the who have that power, who have that the financial resources, can we just think about that different thinking about the two sectors. And government then also, there are a couple of training programs we also conduct, but there are not very good response we have got till this date, got from the corporate sectors for their CSR and revamping the CSR whole idea. So I don't have much expectation the way things are happening that very good concrete thing will come up, because we need to change, I think, process of the almost 2 quarters rather than because we had done enough training in the NGO level, enough training in the beneficiaries level. But the other sides, I think, I don't know who can, open that door. We are continuously, talking about
Actually,
that.
there is so much distrust amongst various people, stakeholders in this area. For
Yeah.
example, public sector and private sector. Government says that private sector is only making profit. And private sector looks at government, that they just have so many systems and policies and so much red tape. It's very difficult to collaborate with the government. So it's like
That's why I'm saying
the
that
playing field
never
never
school
meet.
is there.
So how can there be a level playing field or greater collaboration? For example, we tried working with this and I had a meeting and I was given a form of some 50 pages of that you fill this up and then we can talk to you.
Yeah.
So that's also red tape in some way. How can we lower barriers so that we can all collaborate?
Yeah.
I can say that to you on your face at this meeting because that was very frustrating for us. It was very frustrating for us.
Yeah.
So I'll just complete to So that's just on the side. And I don't know, Devashish, if you want to broaden the discussion right now, because see, as I understand, malnutrition means undernutrition as well as overnutrition. Right?
Yeah.
Mal is a word which means not wrong. Like malaria is MAL, and people thought in the old times that malaria spreads through air, so the air is bad. Then malfunctioning is another word which uses mal as a prefix. So in the West and especially in the middle class in India, people have a problem of plenty. The kids are not going to play and they are stuffing their face in their mouths with McDonald's and Domino's and foods packets are not properly labeled. So I don't know if you're tackling that area because when you're talking about poor, then ultimately we talk about undernutrition, not malnutrition. The second thing is that how about nutrition of women and adolescents in this country? Anemia is a very, very big problem. The government has a Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Program, Karyakram, RKSK, where they are tackling anemia, through iron deficiency. So that is another area, and girls are getting married at a younger age. 90% of women are anemic in India. 40% of children below the age of 14 years are anemic in India. So what are we doing to improve their status and correct their status? That's another issue that we need to talk about. And just going back, briefly to the issue that we were talking earlier about outreach. Very often we just go there and we give our summons to people. Ye karo, wo karo. But are we actually empowering those people to take action as a result of what you are doing? The same data all the time. For example, in the area of anemia, if you go and tell a woman that you should eat different colored vegetables, that's something that is very commonly said in this area, so that you get the right vitamins from all the different food elements. Now, those people are surviving marginally. They don't even have land to grow vegetables. They don't have money to buy vegetables. So how can we expect them to make that change? And one example I want to give, another program that I was working on for youth-friendly, program for adolescents for family planning. And there we were saying that people are going to the slums and they are telling them, please use contraceptives. There was no access to condoms, to pills, to IUCDs. So if people are willing, but they don't have access, then what do you do? So what we did is we changed our program a little. We said, okay, we will bring a doctor from a nearby hospital or a clinic and let the doctor come and talk to these people. One is the credibility of the message improves drastically the moment a doctor is talking. The poor people are willing to come and listen to her because if they were to go to the clinic, they would have had to pay 200 rupees just to enter a cabin. So it was a big incentive for them that doctor is coming and they're getting free access. And then we could also link these services and products to what she's saying here. And we said, okay, maybe the first injection of the contraceptive DNPA, for example, if anyone who attends this clinic in the slum, the first injection will be free of cost. So some little incentives or working with foundations like Glenmark is being represented here, if they can underwrite some of the costs, that can also be a part of the CSR. As a foundation, you don't have to implement everything yourself. You can collaborate, and that brings us to the opening remarks that we made. That how can people work together? Because someone has money, someone has manpower, someone has the knowledge, and someone has the expertise and skills. So one person doesn't have everything. So how can all the stakeholders come together? That's what hopefully we will be trying to do under the stuff as well today. Tomorrow we talk about it. So I think some people people have not spoken at all. We should give them a
I'd
chance.
like to revisit the question of how to get those people to collaborate, the people in the government.
Yes.
I spent all my life, well, lagging behind, and I found either somebody they respect tells them something, like maybe a lobby or something like that, something senior is convinced. The other would be if there's a lot of people on your side, so public, I mean, they have to hear it. The third, which is equally good, is if the media does a story about it and highlights the issues and also comes from. I've not found a fourth. I think that's what I found here. So wherever you fit.
जैसे मैंने कहा मैं स्नेहा से हूँ और स्नेहा में भी practices हूँ।
जैसे स्नेहा में कुछ प्रैक्टिसेस हो रहे हैं कोलैबोरेशन के लिए, जैसे शाह ने बोला कि हम MCGM और ICDS के साथ काम कर रहे हैं। तो स्नेहा में स्पेशली हो रहा है कि हमारा जो कोलैबोरेशन यानी टॉप टू बॉटम जिस तरह बोलते हैं कि हमारे जो सीनियर्स है, जो CEO डायरेक्टर सभी लेवल पे वो जैसे ICDS के डायरेक्टर्स वगैरह उनको भी मिलते हैं, और प्लस हमारा आंगनबाड़ी सेविका है उनके साथ या हेल्थ पोस्ट के CHP है उनके साथ भी उतना ही लेवल पे कोलैबोरेशन बात होती है। उनके साथ हमारे ट्रेनिंग्स भी होते हैं स्पेशली ICDS टीचर्स के साथ। तो ये सब चीज़ें, और दूसरी बात जैसे कि अप्रिशिएटिव इंक्वायरी, ये जो अप्रोच स्नेहा का है, इसके जरिए जो काम हमारा उसके यानी हमारे काम में इतना मदद हो रहा है हमें कि आज ICDS का हर छोटी छोटी चीज़ों में भी हमें ICDS DMC का सपोर्ट हमें मिल रहा है। जैसे कि उसी के साथ साथ अलग अलग इनिशिएटिव स्नेहा ने हमारे स्नेहा सेंटर्स में हमने चालू किए हैं। तो उसमें यानी अभी ये सभी इवेंट्स आंगनवाड़ी में भी आंगनवाड़ी में खुद में हो रहा है, सब CDPOs उसमें शामिल हो रहे हैं। तो यानी मेरे ख्याल से इनके साथ बहुत बार होता है कि बहुत से NGOs उसमें उनके साथ शामिल भी होते हैं, मगर उनको पॉइंट आउट किया जाता है आपका ये नहीं हो रहा है। तो बहुत बार ये छोड़ के क्या हो सकता है, क्या अच्छा हो सकता है, आपने ये चीज़ अच्छी की है, क्या इसमें अच्छा क्या किया था आपने, क्या आपने स्ट्रैटेजी यूज की थी, चलो अभी दूसरी जगह पे भी हम ये स्ट्रैटेजी यूज करते हैं और एक साथ आके क्या कर सकते हैं। तो ये बात बहुत ही मेरे ख्याल से लोगों को भाई गई, और मेरे ख्याल से शुरुआत आज हमारे अलग अलग ट्रेनिंग में वर्कशॉप में जस्ट I think last 2 weeks before only we had conducted one vision building workshop for ICDS MS के जो स्टाफ है उनके लिए किया था, और उनके भी अच्छे ड्रीम्स है, उनके अच्छे भी उनके एस्पिरेशंस है फॉर कम्युनिटी डेवलपमेंट। तो ये बहुत कुछ यानी अगर हम उनके साथ जुड़ते ही मगर अच्छा दिखा के अगर करते हैं तो बहुत कुछ अच्छा हो सकता है।
I'd like to share. I'm Dr. Derenka. I'm from D.Y. Patil University. Basically, like assistant professor with the Department of Business Management. So I basically teach MBA in health and hospital management. Now, basically, my experience, I think that's one factor where we really got to look into. Because everybody is looking at this is my idea, this is my USP, this is something that I have done, and I'm not willing to share it. And the moment somebody is trying to replicate it, we are the first people to go and stop that person from replicating it. And I think that is where we fail the most, because we don't want to share ideas, we don't want to share our success stories, we don't want to share the good things that we do. And most of the ideas just remain for one project, and then once the project is over, those ideas are dead and gone. So they don't really see a sustainable future. That's one thing that I'd like to put to the table. And the second thing is that what I have observed from my research as far as malnutrition is concerned, that we basically focus on the age group of 3 to 6. And most of the programs, even the government programs, are basically focusing on the age group of 3 to 6. I mean, if you actually look at it, the malnutrition has already taken place, or the undernutrition has already taken place by the time the child is 3 years old. So what we've actually got to do is probably tackle the 0 to 3, which is one of the areas that everybody forgets about, because the child is too young. We think, oh no, it's the child is on breastfeeding and things like that, and that area is kind of forgotten. But if you actually look at it, if and good results, I think we should look at that age group to be the target area. Just 2 points that I want to share.
There are few new people who are not introduced. Maybe you can also introduce yourself. And
My name is Kanchan Chaudhary Bhattacharya. I was Director General of Police in Uttarakhand. Then I came to the National Human Rights Commission, and thereafter I resigned and I stood for elections. So I know what to do.
So I'll introduce myself as Professor Vivek from the Department of Business Management at the same Devi Bharati University. I'm into foreign trade. And basically, like, I just wanted to attend on because like I always wanted to know about, like, since it's from NGOs, especially the fundings need to come from the international needs. I just wanted to come up for the forum to understand, like, how you're tackling the first with this. That's the part.
Hi, I'm Madhavi. I'm from Swasti Health Resource Center. We're based out of Bangalore, and we're a domain-specific organization. We're into public health. So I was at the RISE Summit last year, and this was a topic that was discussed last year also. So I just want to see where this discussion leads, if it's a repetition or are we taking one step forward. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sujit Nilegapur. I have been working on malnutrition since 2004 in tribal area of Jawar Mokhada, and I usually conduct camps, medical camps in urban slums and all these areas. Presently, I am working with Ekam Foundation, Mumbai.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Supri. I'm looking after programs of Ekam Foundation, and we are working in child health, basically focused on surgery support for children, and as well as on training of pediatricians and nurses who are working in pediatric care. And apart from that, we are also trying to use mobile app for a survey in MWAD area. So that's a nice to be attending this and learning a lot.
Hi, good afternoon. I am Marshall. This year I represent RITSIM, which is an institute in Goa. And we have classes from. Thanks.
What is your address?
It's basically a management institute, just started.
so, as mentioned by Madhavi, let's move a step forward now. So, I'm very sure, all being part of an organization which is working in the different sector, will be definitely trying to do a lot of things which we are not able to do. Okay, so maybe we can share our experiences regarding our successes and failures, and what are the things we would like to do, or you would like to extend your arm of partnership or collaboration for other organizations to work together in that, and maybe we can find the right match. So it can start from anywhere.
Yeah. I don't know if the others are here for that reason, but I would like you to tackle malnutrition per se, and not just in areas where the government is taking interest. In the villages, nobody takes interest, and the situation is below what you can do management. So if you can extend your thoughts, I mean, you obviously people who have studied and understood the problem. And here are sitting some people who want to solve it on the ground in those remote villages where there is nobody who can involve us. So if you can translate and help us, please.
I mean, it's right at the onset. If we, as you said correctly, we should start concentrating from 0 to 3 years. Rather than that, I would say, maternal care is also utmost important, especially the antenatal care.
I would just suggest that, just to tell you the latest government thinking, because since we collaborate with the government so closely, government has started a new approach to healthcare, which is called life cycle approach. Okay, earlier they were looking at youth, women, infants in separate silos. Okay, now what the new policy is called RMN, CH plus A. R stands for reproductive health, M is maternal health, C is child health and neonatal health, and plus there is the adolescent health. So they are saying that the same person goes through these various life stages, So don't look at them as separate people or separate segments. Treat them as one person and touch them at every part of their life. So that is the new policy, and that is why that's an integrated approach. In the past, there was no integrated approach. So there were different ministries, people were working separately. Now they have realized that there is the importance of continuum of care. Keeping that in mind, they have this new strategy. So you rightly pointed out that the mother, she is undernourished or she's anemic. She gives birth to a child who is really unhealthy and malnourished right from the start. Then perhaps the breast milk is not adequate, or in the higher societies they don't want to breastfeed. That's another issue. So poor and rich both have problems. Somehow we just look at the poor. Let us look at a human being. Whether he is rich or poor, I think we want everyone to be healthy. So let's not discriminate. Male, female, poor, rich. It's a human being ultimately. So our focus should be that how wellness can be a part of your life. Some days back I was hearing Modi ji on CNN IBN 7, and he was talking about preventive health. He said, why are we spending so many millions of money to correct illnesses? Don't allow people to fall sick first of all. He talks with a lot of gestures. He was saying that जैसे नल में पानी आता है, अगर वो पानी ही साफ हो तो कोई बीमारी नहीं पड़ेगा. So why not provide clean water? But saying it is easy, and doing it on ground is very difficult. Like a lot of us have faced those challenges on ground, and that's where partnerships are important. We come back to full circle, collaboration, partnership. I think without that, we cannot do anything today, because no one has the solutions. One person doesn't have a solution.
Yeah, in that regards only, when I say maternal health, I'm not saying in terms of only taking care of a mother, and if the mother is if the mother is anemic or so she'll deliver underweight baby. It's also about planning their motherhood, and also telling them about what is the nutrition of the child, what are the things which you should give to your child, so that he or she should not fall into that area of malnutrition. So that awareness among the mother during that antenatal period, not only mother, I would say family, that is also something aspect which we should look up to. And for that, I think Nutrition Mission has also started the 1,000-day care, where it is right from the antenatal to the 2 years or 3 years. And we as Mumbai Smile, we have also partnered with Arman Foundation, where we have got into the M-Mitra project, where it's a mobile Mitra project, where we are enrolling mothers, and these mothers during their antenatal period, they will be receiving messages on 150 different messages on antenatal care, on child care, on nutrition. And these messages, if they don't, we will be enrolling them, we will be taking their time slot, and accordingly they will get their message twice a week for first 7 months, then every day for regular months, and then after the child is born, the messages will turn to the child care messages about the nutrition, about the breastfeeding. So the various messages are developed. This is with association with Arman and Mama Foundation. So such kind of efforts where we can educate mothers and the families, I think that will, as you said correctly, prevention is something. We are tackling malnutrition where we provide food to the children after 3 years. Maybe we can see there is a shift in grades or other things. But here, right at the onset, we can prevent malnutrition to happen. I think that's where we have to focus, and we have to start working collaboratively.
I would like to share my experience of our model in Jawar Mokhada. Jawar Mokhada is a tribal village in Thane district, and there is a lot of malnutrition related death in 2003. And after that, I entered in that area and started working. And what we found that there is no lack of initiative, or mothers are willing to give good food to their children, but lack of availability. There is financial constraints of parents. Like we are talking here about urban slums. Most of mothers may not be having access to mobile. Therefore, they will not read. Even if they know that they have to provide good nutritious food, they don't have access. Most of the people living in urban area, they are drunkard, they are alcoholic. They don't know they gave more importance to their drinking habits rather than providing food and nutritious food to their children. So we came up with a project which we termed like Anganwadi, we termed it Palnagar. And in Palnagar, what we used to suppose we adopted a pada or hamlet, which is consisting of 30 to 40 children from age group 6 months to 6 years. And in that, we also included pregnant mothers and breastfeeding mothers. Through that project, what we used to do, and still we are doing, we used to appoint a person from that village who is educated. We used to motivate her, and we used to give her some honorarium. We used to give her ration. We used to give her primary basic medication. What she is supposed to do? She is supposed to collect all children from neighborhood, pregnant mothers and breastfeeding mothers, collect them and keep them in a place, teach them something, sing songs with them, play with them, also give nutritious food. We take care that at least 1/3 of calories and 1/2 of protein requirement per day is given to the child when the child is at our place. Again, that didn't serve our purpose, because what parent used to think that ये बच्चा जा रहा है पालनाघर, उसको तो वहाँ पे खाना मिलता ही होगा, यहाँ पे नहीं मिला तो भी चलेगा. Still we were having shortfall of whatever left over, like half the calories and 1/3 of protein. What we used to do, again remaining was deficient in that kids. So this program we ran it in 8 hamlets for 2 years, and by the end of 2 years, with frequent monitoring and all this, we were sure that we took these 8 hamlets out of malnutrition threat. Initially, when we entered, we calculated all demographic data, age, sex, height, weight. We plotted on graphs. Then again, every 3 months, every 6 months, we used to go again, see the impact of our nutrition program. What we found that after a period of 3 months, students, they get used to the food, same quality of food, and they again start refraining that food. So we contacted National Institute of Nutrition in Hyderabad. They gave us low-cost based recipes. We started implementing it again. So frequent change of whatever food we are supplying, and with the use of different recipes, we could maintain that continuity. And most important factor in this program was we used to give a newborn kit. In that newborn kit, we used to give a mosquito net, a warm blanket, and few changing clothes to that color along with when the baby gets delivered. After getting, because there are a lot of flies, mosquitoes, because of this, the child couldn't get sleep properly. So you know that the better the child sleeps, the better will be its growth. And from for teenage girls, we have started programs of rubella vaccination, because at that time we inject them with rubella vaccines, and inborn errors in cardiac defects were less drastically reduced because of vaccination programs. From teenage, we started giving good nutritious food to young ladies who are about to get married and become a mother of a child. In pregnancy period, what sir was rightly talking about integrated plan. In pregnancy period, we took care that she gets proper nourishment. In postnatal period, in breastfeeding period also, she used to come. She was a registered candidate at our Palnagar, and she used to come and take her daily ration of our data. And after that, after the child gets to up to 6 years of age, the child used to be at our center only. Because in these areas, the parents go to work. When they go to work, they always take their children along with them, or hand over their children to their grandfathers or grandparents. And those children, whenever the parents are going out and they are working, the children used to get neglected. They didn't get their food at right time, forget about the illnesses and other disorders. So our center helped in a way that whenever parents were out, all children were integrated together, they were kept together, they were living, playing happily, they were singing songs, they were getting good nutritious food. And this integrated program which we were running, it was one of the best programs as far as results are concerned. and for such program we need support from corporates, because we have manpower, we have identified the zones where we are able to where we are going to intervene, and we have volunteer base. I have a whole setup that I can arrange ration, I can arrange different recipes, but where am I lacking? I lack in the funding. Budrani Trust, they supported us wholeheartedly for 4 years, and the program was running swiftly. And Asha organization, it was US based, they supported us for 2 to 3 years. Program was running swiftly. Now in Java, if you go to Java, you will not find. It will be a difficult task for you to find a malnourished kid. So we have diverted from our attention from Jawar to Mokhada.
So exactly, taking forward from your this thing, it's exactly the reason why we are doing this exercise. So I hope everyone has these 3 pieces in front of them. These pieces are for a specific reason. So this is the connect piece of paper. So if you want any specific project, if you want to know about any specific organization, any specific person, any specific resource that you require, please note down on this piece of paper and we'll take it forward for you. If you want any specific idea about your, if you want to communicate something very specific about your organization, about your project, your ideas, then you can write down in this communicate slip, which is the rectangular one. And you can also, if you want some information, so there are a few organizations which need some information, then please do write down with this. This is the communicate paper. And the last one is the collaborate, the blue one, which is if you have some ideas, if you have some projects which is running, like in case of SIRS, they want other organizations to collaborate with them. So you can write in this blue paper, and if you want some other, if you have some projects, it's fine. But if you want to collaborate with some other organization on their projects, then also please do write on this blue sheet. And when I say organization, projects, individuals, it's not only people who are sitting on this desk. We can write organizations, projects which are from outside this place also, and we'll do the follow-up on your behalf. So as we were discussing about the success and failures. Yes. Yeah. So it will be collected from the desk, at the end of this round table. So just keep whatever comes to your brain and your ideas. Please do write in these papers.
Yeah. Just one suggestion, maybe like we can have a Google group form where we can have even arrange the form, we can have all the information related to the malnutrition, maybe on the indicators and the common methodologies there written. We can actually intervention platforms. So that can be a platform where we can all the available resources and information from all the organizations. You can share the ideas and that can be exchanged with others.
Yes, that's a wonderful idea. That's a wonderful idea. We can definitely do a Google group, and we were also planning to understand common methodologies undertaken by organizations, various graphic level organizations on the mobilization, the community mobilization aspect of their project. I'm very sure they have it in tune. I mean, it's very much fine tuned now. But what are the commonalities between different organizations' approach, and how we can find the common thread and try to scale it up in different levels? Because as ma'am said, like in the various other places it is not so. I mean, Mumbai is still connected. You can get people here having a round table on malnutrition now, but there are places where these kind of discussions don't take place. So, sorry? Yeah, there are no tables also. So, how to do this? I mean, Google Group is a good idea. If you have ideas, please do share, and please do share your success model, your failures in the project, how what went wrong, and what could be done to make things right.
Even in addition, maybe we have a follow-up on malnutrition, but we don't have common points on malnutrition. Everybody is working on with some different aspects, different methodologies, different points
and different indicators. We don't have universal indicators or designed by maybe the government or BMC or higher bodies. Says, okay, these are the 5 points that's been taken care of for malnutrition and slums in the rural areas, and maybe methodology can be different accordingly. But it's a common platform or common points. Then it will be a good point to share and discuss the ideas on the same points. I think that's supposed to be, and maybe in every time when we come in the rise, so maybe that will be a good point to discuss and get into that. Otherwise, vaguely discussing a lot of ideas and points in the forum.
Can I suggest you something? Do step-by-step work. Okay? So we have an umbrella what we are going to do and how many dimensions are there. Can we jot down what are one thing is that food aspect. Okay? There are other aspects also. And it's not only the child or the women. It could happen in the even in the male persons also, right? So can we just jot down that if malnutrition is a problem, what are the different dimensions of this problem? So one step is that first identify the problem, the way we can look at it. Second thing is that can we, whoever in the ground, can we take the help of the academia to understand that if a particular dimension is there, which are the other dimensions of the everyday's life are connected to that problem. Okay? When we talk about the children's food and nutrition, especially in the slums, it's very much related to the time used or the time availability of the, especially the mother. And second thing is that how the fathers are behaving after a whole day long work. I have seen in Baganwadi when mother knows what she has to give to the child, but there is a drunkard father and the child is crying for some kind of junk food. But to save the child from the hands of the drunkard father, mother, she knows that she is going to give the dal and chawal, but instead of dal and chawal, she ended up giving some food to the packet of the small amount of, and it's so small kid. So the mother posed the question to the doctor that we know everything because you trained us, but can you tell us how I can balance handle the two problems together? One is alcoholism, another is the nutrition level of my kid. So can we, then second step could be, if this is the food is the problem or the other things are the problem, then what are the other problems are connected to that problem? And how much we can do? And for that also, how much collaboration we can think of. So can we go by step by step? Because last year we started, but this year I think we are better equipped. So can we go by whole process of the conception to implementation? If we can take different steps, small steps.
Sanitation is another issue that is taken. Sanitation. No one
Yeah.
has talked about that.
Yeah.
That's very important. And then if you look at zinc therapy for diarrhea, that's another micronutrient which is important for preventing diarrhea.
She said that identify the focus areas. Where could we say 4 or 5 focus areas? Like as you said, that the mother did not have anything, but she has to take care of the younger father. Now, if you want to address this issue as a whole, of course, the socio-economic development is one, the basic thing for the entire thing. But of course, we cannot, add all of it because it's a very big thing. Because if she doesn't have anything, what she will give, definitely. So, however education we give, how much infrastructure we have, but if you cannot really at the end of the day, cannot give her the grains or cannot give her the palak or the meghi or the vegetables, what is she going to feed the children? So that's the ultimate issue. So of course we need to look into that as a major factor, I would say. that most of the mothers are complaining that they don't have money, they don't have things, and they don't have the accessibility to these kind of things. So whether under whose purview that comes. So we also need to identify which are the major stakeholders or who are the major players to take on that responsibility or kind of coordination. So then we can identify like, okay, 3 people or maybe the 3 arms or the government and plus whoever from the CSR wants to do it. So maybe we can have like 4 or 5 focus areas at our side and then work on each of that, and must be one coordinating person who can, guide over this thing and take it as a, say, every step. I hear that most of people are working on MEs. So I actually I'm from MEs, but I don't have any data or any research what we have done. Probably you directly shared it with the state. You should have come, I don't know, you must have, but nothing has come to me. Sneha is already doing, but hardly they come and meet us. So probably you just need the top people and not the middle level officers who are really interested. So you really need to meet the people who actually turn on those projects. So you need to know that also.
And we need to do every quarter.
Yeah.
See, the way a couple of NGOs also in any world, they collaborate. Okay? It's not that they don't collaborate, they collaborate, right? Somebody is doing education, somebody is doing health, somebody is into microfinance. I have seen them. Okay? Even CSR also, some of the big corporations, they have a lot of connections. I have found that. Similar kind of connection also we expect from the state. Because it's not that state doesn't have anything. State has done a lot of things. You have a health ministry, you have the ministry of women and child care, you have the ministry of the rural thing also. So we also now expect that it's not, that's the first question always we face from the state, that it's not in our party. Okay, that's fine. We know that it's not coming under your party. Can you talk to your colleague? Because Ministry of Health may be the colleague of the Ministry of the Skill Development. Can be also, because we need to think about how to change our thought process, because we really still almost 50-60 years long assumptions that it's not my party. Okay, that's fine. But how can we collaborate? Because we talk about the collaboration other sides. We are expecting that corporations should collaborate, NGOs should collaborate, academic institutions should collaborate. Then why not the state? Because they have the bigger resource, and even that the question I want to respond to that ma'am, that how we can getting into the interior place also, it's not the cup of tea of the corporations or the NGOs, because there is a state, there is a local state. So can we if we want to get into this, we have to go through the district authority, then block authority, and then that interior part of the hamlets or the villages. So I feel that the more powerful instrument, if I think, that is the state department. But state can also ask us that what kind of help they should require, because we do a lot of research, we share also whatever the ministries are coming to us, we are always ready to share, because we are public university. Even any NGO, if they are coming, we do a lot of NGO training also. Our resources are free. It's a government thing. So if only mail, I think, to Parashuram sir, it's open for everybody. So can we easily change our thinking pattern from the quarters also?
I'd like to respond. Can you finish?
Yes.
I'd like to respond to a point that you made relating to going to the interiors. Somebody said that this is a legal slum, so therefore you have a right to do something there. And this is not a legal slum, even though the children are equally the children over there. But let's neglect them. They are not our part. This can't be done in this country. The people out there in the villages are so poorly off that people sitting in Bombay may not even begin to suspect how bad things are. And if they are not addressed, then we are not doing the job that we want to set out to do. Having said that, I must also clarify that the state doesn't have issues because they're not bothered.
Mostly they're not bothered. So if you want to take up some remote, unless you suddenly come through as somebody they want to oppose, barring that position, they wouldn't be concerned if you're going there, if you innocuously come and ask for permission, innocuously you'll get it and you'll start to do your work. And those people would benefit. And not only would they benefit, they would be getting things that they wouldn't have dreamt of getting. You will be pulling people out of hell and giving them a life. So let's not do that.
I would just like to respond to your illegal and legal slums. As far as the health services is concerned, we have already started phoning dispensing in last month. And we don't see whether it is new to illegal. We all have our immunization camps or our outreach services are going on. As far as ICDS is concerned, I'm not sure about the policies which they have. So maybe you have studied it better. This may also must be knowing. I don't know whether they differentiate of illegal and it's only the matter of time where they've not yet identified that unit in that particular area. But I'm not sure about whether they really differentiate based on this because it's ultimately it's a facility. So at least municipal corporation we don't discriminate whether it is illegal or legal. In certain areas maybe, but health facilities I'm sure our people are going there and we are being more and more under regulating. We are being allocating a lot of new staff and new facilities in Maharashtra Nagar you said about Sate Nagar we just started for dispensary. We're also proposing 3 maternity homes which will be coming in next 3 years. So I mean right now these are proposals on the floor because I myself have written those proposals and forwarded and I'm going to see to that it gets on the place. As far as malnutrition is concerned, we have certain restrictions, like we have certain obligatory duties which we have to do. So those basic things we are trying to first fill it out. So as I understand, the malnutrition is a bigger issue. So health is of course a part of that. So if you address a lot of diseases, then of course the impact of malnutrition will be less. So we are functional on that, and with our medical colleges also we are trying to identify the treatment options of grade 3 malnutrition and all that. So what we require is of course the partnership, very concrete way forward in the directions where we just not end up doing a pilot project, but we have to have a sustainability in that particular area.
Now I just pointed out that when we talk about the malnutrition health, the basic resource which we really require, that is the water.
In water there could be some problem.
Yeah. Most of the illegal slums, they don't have the water connection and there is a huge water mafia, and whatever we are paying for our water, they are paying almost 5 times, 6 times more than that. Now if this basic thing is not there, even if you start health checkup camps and all the stuff, that might not create that kind of impact which we are expecting from our own work. Okay, so when I say that illegal slums, I also talk about the very basic amenities, which really give you problematic. Even you go to the Sate Nagar, most of the electrical connections are illegal.
And there is understand the infrastructure and the resources which is required for that. What are our constraints, like the government side I'm talking right now?
Yeah.
Like how much is Mumbai's population, and every second day there is increasing population. How is that even government is going to provide? It's not that it's going to come. So there are certain rules regarding the illegality and illegality. I will not go into detail of that, but as far as health concerned, I'm sure that my functionaries, we are going into the slums and we're doing the camps. We are also getting the mothers for immunization and all those things. Water, we are also trying to coordinate with our engineering department and trying to see if we can provide the waters. I agree with you that there are certain things that is going on. So we have looked into those issues also under the urban planning scheme. So I'm pretty sure if we sit together, we can definitely bring in some more stakeholders who can address those things. It's possible.
जब हम कोलैबोरेशन की बात करते हैं तो स्पेशली यानी मेरे सामने जब कोलैबोरेशन ये शब्द आता है तो मेरे सामने एक ही शब्द आता है, मैं क्यों कोलैबोरेशन कर रहा हूँ, ब्रांडिंग के लिए, लोगों के लिए, या मुझे ये इश्यू सॉल्व करना है इसके लिए। कोलैबोरेशन ये पुल एंड पुश रहता है। अगर मुझे जरूरत है किस चीज की तो मैं सवाल करता हूँ, आस्क आस्क एंड आस्क, पूछो सामने वाले को, हाँ बोलेगा ना बोलेगा, जान तो नहीं लेगा। तो मेरी जरूरत है, और मुझे लगता है कि इस विषय पे मुझे काम करना है, तो मैं खुद जाऊं वहां पे, कौन काम कर रहा है उसको देखूं, वहां पे काम करूं। तो ये कोलैबोरेशन रहता है मेरे ख्याल से। सो जनरली हम और यही चीज मेरे ख्याल से, मैं जब सॉरी मैं बार ये मेरे एक्सपीरियंस शेयर कर रहा हूँ, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, क्योंकि मैं एमसीजीएम ICDS के साथ बहुत अच्छे से हम काम कर रहे हैं और मुझे उसका गर्व महसूस हो रहा है उसका, और ये पुश हो रहा है। कुछ जगह से मैं ये मानता हूँ कि कहाँ शुरुआत में कहाँ जगह से स्नेहा की तरफ से पुल था, अभी दोनों जगह पे यानी पुल पुश दोनों पे हो रहा है। जहाँ पे जरूरत है एमसीजीएम वहाँ खुद आ रही है, यानी हमें याद है एमएस के जो आपके MOS डॉक्टर संदीप गायकवाड़, वो खुद आ रहे हैं जहाँ पे जरूरत है, जहाँ पे कैंप लगाने वहाँ पे खुद आते हैं। जहाँ पे हेल्थ पोस्ट के डॉक्टर्स हैं वो खुद आते हैं कि हमें इम्यूनाइजेशन कैंप लगाना है, उनका टाइमिंग रहता है 12 बजे तक। उनके कुछ लिमिटेशन है बहुत, क्योंकि कुछ पहले से कुछ उनके प्रोटोकॉल चल रहे हैं उसके हिसाब से, और आज उसके बाहर जाके वो काम कर रहे हैं। तो कहाँ तो भी उनको दिखा, यानी ये भी है कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन क्यों काम करे और किस तरह काम करे, क्या एक्टिविटीज हो रही है, वो बहुत सा जरूरी है। दूसरा बात बोलना था, जब कोलैबोरेशन में हम काम करते हैं या ये बात हुई, और दूसरी बात कि हम कम्युनिटी में जैसे बिहेवियर चेंज में बहुत सा काम जरूरी है। जैसे कि मुझे आपको शेयर करना अच्छा लगेगा कि स्नेहा सेंटर जो प्रोजेक्ट चालू हुआ वहाँ पे हमने जैसे डॉक्टर जो एकम के सर में बोली तो
if I am giving some kind of such kind of a messages, so definitely I have to follow that. So that that gives a message in the community that they have to do it and they have to start involving in that project rather than giving food and maybe treating the malnutrition per se. Another important aspect is we have found is education. Public health, only health cannot go ahead. It has to be combined with education. So both the things go hand in hand. So our project name itself is cultivating healthy habits among children. When we cultivate healthy habits among children, we make sure that it's inbuilt in their roots, so they do it at their home as well. It's a very small thing of washing their hands before eating food. And also washing their hands after going to the toilet or other things. These basic things also prevent infections and also thus reduce the rates of malnutrition, and also they practice it at home. And they force their children, because when we conduct parent-teacher meeting or beneficiary meeting, the parents come and tell us कि ये बच्चा हमको भी घर पे बोलता है, घर बालवाड़ी जाने के पहले बोलता है मुझे नेल्स काट के जाने हैं, या बेसिक चीज़ें मुझे हैंकरचीफ चाहिए, इससे ये चीज होगी। तो पेरेंट ऑल्सो दे लिसन टू द चाइल्ड एंड दे स्टार्ट डूइंग इट। ऑल्सो फ्यू हैबिट्स लाइक फ्रूट्स, मेरा बच्चा घर पे फ्रूट्स नहीं खाता, then what we did is of course we need to give fruit to the child, so we incorporated one fruit per week in our menu. So बालवाड़ी में ही उसको वो हैबिट लगा फ्रूट खाने का, तो घर पे ऑटोमेटिकली फ्रूट खाने लगा। सो these are the behavioral changes which we are also working on, and as and when it comes in, that's where our concept of beneficiary committee has helped us, because we take input from the community itself and we incorporate it in our project.
I was just sharing one of the examples that we had at Ambuja. We were at that time talking about some good practices which would have helped communities and how we scaled up. So one example was in sanitation, wherein we formed village development committees, and whoever was interested in the village would come together, and within a span of 1 year we were able to make 2 villages open defecation free, and this was by their own funds, by the money which they had collected themselves. And like many of you have mentioned, there was no support which was coming in from the government at that time. But once those 2 model villages were formed, it so happened that the neighboring villages, which we were not working with, took up from there, got the support of the government, and now after 2 years, it is spread on beyond the areas wherein we have worked. So this was one example which is
which is still working on really well in our community.
Where is this?
This was in Chandrapur. We have our plant set up in Chandrapur, and we work in the villages around the plants. And sanitation was it still is a major issue, but yeah, there are about 3 to 4 villages which are open temperature.
You also have plants in Uttarakhand. Are you extending it there?
No, we do not.
You know, I did that. I was invited, but I don't know if it's a plant which has a body of Ambuja there.
Roorkee, yes.
Roorkee,
Yeah, that's it. Yes,
I think behavior change is very important. Yesterday, someone was telling me one NGO which is implementing these constructing toilets. They said we made the toilets, but the villagers don't want to use it because they are saying, our soil benefits from the manure. So the loos are there and they are locked up and no one is using them.
Yes.
So how do you actually motivate people to
One of the things that we did in Chandrapur was that we used to, our team, and hats off to them, they used to go and we used to have programs and educational programs with them in the evenings till late night because people couldn't be there in the morning. So our staff, they went much beyond the working hours, etc. And they used to be working with them. And it so happened that once a few people get motivated, then it's easier to take it to other areas.
Behavior change is the most difficult thing. Like for example, so many doctors we know smoke themselves. They've seen so many of the patients die of tobacco, but still they smoke, they drink. So if a doctor drinks and smokes knowingly, then how can you ask others to change their behavior? So working in this communication area, I have realized, I'm a student, lifelong student of communication, and it's really difficult to motivate people to think in a different way.
Another most important thing we have to understand is every NGO or every organization is working in a particular area, but it's not compulsory that if something is working in this area, we will work in that area. Like for example, when I spoke about Mitra project for mobile, definitely we have to see the socio-economic strata of that particular area. The same concept cannot be replicated in the tribal area, the same concept cannot be replicated in other slums. So maybe that's where we have to be flexible enough, and we have to take out a few good things from each and every one of us or any organization, and maybe start replicating in their own areas or in their own field. And that's where it's important to study that area first before we implement any kind of project and do the things.
So, but the thing is, as you're mentioning, that not everything is implementable or it's not exactly the same in the different location. But I'm just taking example of the Swachh program, which I would also know about. So, like I said, this community mobilization is the biggest problem. What we are seeing, it's difficult to motivate people to start listening to you at least, not to change their behavior or change their way of life, but start listening to you. Behavioral change campaign, if done in a large scale media or anything like that, will help you to penetrate that community first, which is a standard thing in most of the locations. Maybe just change in language or media will be beneficial, but definitely it is going to make the job easier. That's what I think.
Behavior change cannot be done overnight. There is a model of communication which is called the AIDCA model, which is awareness, interest, desire, conviction, and then action. So you have to take that person through various stages. If you expect that Myanmar Foundation will go today to a village and tomorrow there will be no malnourished child, it's not going to happen. So it is a lifelong process. It takes time, and you should not get disheartened. You have to try and hold the person and take him through various stages. And it is the same for commercial products also. See, I worked in a commercial organization for 15 years in advertising. The same person is receiving the ads of Coca-Cola on the TV, and the same person is going and getting information from Anganwadi worker. Mind to aapko utna hi hai. So how much can mind absorb? Mind is like a sponge. It can absorb only that much thing. So when we go with social communication, we feel that, you know, why is social communication always so boring? You know, hum do, hamare do. ये slogan based advertising नहीं चलेगा, because the same person is a consumer of Coke and the same person is a consumer of, say, sanitary napkins that we want him to start using. So how can we make our communication, our programs more interesting, more engaging, you know, less academic, more practical? How can we offer solutions to people? How can we give good examples? How can we learn from cross-learnings from or best practices from other sectors? You know, sometimes some adaptation is required. I'm not saying bilkul aise ka utha ke yaar do chal jayega. You know, for example, we were doing nukkad nataks for these injectable contraceptive called DMPA in Bihar and UP and all that. And we saw that you know, the women who were the recipients of this product, they were not even allowed to come out of their house, you know, to go to rural areas. The young married women and unmarried girls. So if you're doing a nukkad natak, collecting people in India is the easiest thing. You throw 25 paisa, 100 people will jump. Okay? Because we have so much of population. So many times we, you know, the surrogate for the success of our activities, kitne log hai wahan. So I would say that if it is a program for contraceptives and there are 100 people, out of which 60 were below 3 feet in height, which were kids, it's a wasted program. You are not getting to the right audience. Or if you are doing a cricket match and there are no young caregivers for ORS, it's a waste. So we always think that अरे इतने सारे लोग आ गए, है ना, head count हो गया, तो हमारा बड़ा successful हो गया. But were they the right people? They were not. So we had to see that. So when we did this nukkad natak, we saw that these young mothers were not allowed to come and interact with the street play theatre. So all the kids were there, youth were there, but the women were not there. So what we said is, after the thing gets over, we will have a kiosk which is manned by women counselors. So what happened is that once the nukkad natak went away, tamasha jab khatam hua, then these young mothers slowly came out of their homes and went to the booth, and actually one-on-one engagement with the counselor happened. So you have to devise your program in such a way that, you know, it is effective. Otherwise, most of the money that you are spending is going waste. As it is, resources are so limited to us in this sector. So every money, every rupee should be made to stretch. You know, we should get 2 rupees worth out of every day if possible. And that can only happen if we have very good strategies, we do our homework well. You know, so those are very important areas to think about.
You took away my job of
sorry.
concluding the session. Very true. I mean, based on the discussion, it's very clear that there are a few things which is required, which communication-based solutions to community mobilization is one of the most important requirements. As a part of this roundtable, we'll be working on it and we'll prepare a report the first thing and get back to you on it. And definitely we'll start working, as Anand said. She just followed my essence and that get back to you on this. And we'll be doing that, and definitely even part of this roundtable will create a Google Group or a blog in which we can, you know, keep posting and we can be in touch and we can gradually make this program happen. There are few housekeeping announcements. There are few roundtables which are going around in this floor. There are 2 roundtables going parallelly. Downstairs there are workshops and chat tables going on. Workshops are basically private consulting level of this thing where only 10 to 15 people are there. And in case of chat tables, it's basically one-to-one conversation. If you want to have a detailed conversation with a specific prospective partner, then that's the place. It's in the first floor in the Tulip and this Optic Center. And of course, lunch arrangements are downstairs. There's already lunch is over, so maybe snacks is downstairs. So thanks a lot to Glenmark for sponsoring us for this roundtable, and we'll be working closely with them in development of this project as well. Please do write about us, even if it's good, bad, anything on social media as well. It really helps. You have a feedback form right in front of you. Please do write your feedback as well. Thanks a lot for coming.
And what about these colored?
Leave them on the desk itself. So we will collect it from there.
And you might have to write your name on the other side.